In this comparative study, I will analyze two science fiction films, Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey, released in 1968, and Andrei Tarkovsky's Solaris, released in 1972. 2001 Space Odyssey is a futuristic epic that explores the potentially volatile relationship between humans and artificial intelligence. The movie takes place mostly in space and features intricate set designs, magnificent visuals, and vibrant colors. Tarkovsky made his film Solaris in reaction to 2001 Space Odyssey, which he considered to be a comic book movie. He accused Kubrick of being too shallow and focusing less on the central idea of the film than on impressing the viewer with art direction. Therefore, when creating Solaris, Tarkovsky set about creating an antithesis to 2001. His film explores human consciousness and the perception of reality. Tarkovsky places an emphasis on nature and art rather than machines through various film techniques such as mise en scène. For example, the space station in Solaris is run down and decrepit, whereas the mechanisms in 2001 are advanced and complex. It is equally important to note that both movies were released after the peak of the USA-USSR space race during the Cold War, so the films have been seen in some respects as the definitive cinematic reflection of the space race from two competing world superpowers. This is evident in Kubrick's work, as his long, majestic shots of vessels rotating in the sky evoke a powerful feeling of awe and hope and glorify space from an American perspective. Just as the two countries were competing politically and technologically, they are also in a cultural rivalry. Thus, Tarkovsky opposes Kubrick and the USA by presenting a strictly pessimistic view on space. He is criticizing the futility of such technological advancements by indicating that humans should understand themselves first before venturing off into space. Despite their conceptual differences, both movies are stylistically similar, in part because both directors utilized and subverted the conventions of the science fiction genre. According to film theorist Vivian Sobchak, science fiction is a film genre which emphasizes actual, extrapolative, or 2.0 speculative science and the empirical method, interacting in a social context with the lesser emphasized but still present transcendentalism of magic and religion in an attempt to reconcile man with the unknown. This definition is easily applicable to both movies, which seek to reconcile man with the unknown, whether that unknown is technological advancement or man itself. In addition, space exploration, speculative technology, and alien life forms, common characteristics of the genre, are present in both works. Furthermore, they both rely on special effects as well as futuristic set designs, though Kubrick emphasizes these elements more than Tarkovsky. Nonetheless, both auteurs as directors helped transform science fiction. The genre, having been in decline since its success in silent films such as A Trip to the Moon and Metropolis, consisted mainly of low-budget B-movies until Kubrick's film was released. The application of philosophical themes to the genre in both 2001 and Solaris helped popularize it since people took it more seriously. In addition, Kubrick and Tarkovsky sought to create a visual, non-verbal experience that hits the viewer at an inner level of consciousness, just as music does or a painting. In order to achieve this, both directors employed slow pacing, long takes, and captivating visuals, paired with impactful music. Thus, both artists applied their theoretical ideas to the genre of science fiction and utilized various film techniques in order to explore the purpose of humanity, the concept of human discovery, and whether being conscious is alive. Their use of music, camera angles, mise en scène, lighting, and color reveal the answers to these questions and reflect the Cold War context of both films. Both directors approach the theme of humankind's role in different ways. Kubrick implies that curiosity is an inherent trait which drives humanity's purpose in the world. He reveals this in the film's opening scene when apes come into contact with an alien monolith befitting of the sci-fi genre. Its mystical appearance and deafening sound are intimidating, yet these primal creatures overcome their fear and touch the object. Furthermore, this inquisitiveness leads to a desire to explore and conquer, synonymous with America's expansionist history. Though aliens in space are daunting, Kubrick transmits a fascination for the unknown and highlights the awesomeness of its discovery through powerful music. His use of Blue Danube Waltz and also Sprach Zarathustra, paired with the incredible cinematography, convey wonder and thus support America's involvement in the space race. The former can be seen as a commentary on the nature of space travel, which is measured, polished, choreographed. Kubrick is expressing his appreciation for space travel, wherein intricate vehicles are waltzing through space. The latter piece, a symphonic poem, plays during dramatic turning points. The increasing intensity of Zarathustra sensationalizes the film's visuals. Nonetheless, Kubrick's inclusion of atmospheres has a more nuanced effect, as its opening 8-measure sonority, filled in by winds and brass in a chromatic cluster, discloses the fluctuant potential and power that infuses the primordial void. This overwhelming piece transforms between cacophony and harmony, reinforcing the significance and mystery surrounding the celestial artifacts in the film. By contrast, Tarkovsky does not share Kubrick's appreciation for space travel. In Solaris, he underscores nature by leisurely contemplating landscapes where natural events pass before the camera lens. This is done through numerous lengthy shots at the beginning of the movie which capture the magnificence of the environment. Paired with these takes is a cluster of orchestral soft sounds, which brings the still shots of nature to life as explained by the film's composer, Eduard Artemyev. Tarkovsky also relied upon classical music, though to a lesser extent than Kubrick. The movie's main theme is an electronic score which features Bach's BWV 639 choral prelude. This piece is fluid and diverse as nature itself, and emphasizes the value of nature through its harmony and nostalgic quality. Therefore, Tarkovsky is implying through his music choice that, rather than exploring space, humans should remain on Earth in order to appreciate their world. Essentially, Tarkovsky believes humanity should reconcile itself with nature, whereas Kubrick indicates that humanity should reconcile itself with space. The notion of progress, a recurring theme in science fiction, is also significant in both films, yet it's treated differently by both directors. Kubrick dwells on the glamour of innovation as a testament to the advancement of human and especially American society. He further emphasizes the relevance of evolution over the course of the movie, especially during this famous match-cutting sequence where a bone flying through the sky transitions into a spaceship. Through the non-linear narrative of 2001, split up into 4 distinct sections, Kubrick details humanity's beginning as apes and then predicts its future destiny as a celestial force. The director symbolically visualizes this evolution through the film's constant motion. Thus, movement becomes a motif of the film and ties the different acts of 2001 together. Furthermore, Kubrick utilized many establishing shots of space in order to glorify its limitlessness. Similarly, Tarkovsky uses many establishing shots, yet he focuses on stillness. The technology in Solaris is static and merely part of the background of the film, and nature is filmed in all its tranquility. The only moving component in the movie are the characters, which are juxtaposed with the decrepit setting that reflects the dated infrastructure prevalent in the Soviet Union. This creates an opposition between characters and technology. Tarkovsky questions the limit of science in the search for truth and focuses instead on the self-discovery of the individual. And Solaris comes in the form of the psychological evolution of the characters, especially Chris, Kelvin, and Harry, who attempt to come to terms with their past and the human condition. In order for Tarkovsky to portray these characters' inner struggles, he employs close-ups, which make the film more personal and dramatic, and makes use of non-linear narrative structure, which alternates between the past and the present, reality and surreality. The film ends with Chris returning to his home, which appears to be in the planet Solaris' ocean. A changed man, he gives up the reality of Earth in order to live in his own reality on Solaris. Clearly, science has failed Chris, but the character's self-reflection and rediscovery of his humanity has enabled him to embrace his actuality. In a similar vein, David Bowman, the main protagonist in 2001 Space Odyssey, is also sabotaged by technology through the murderous supercomputer HAL, which operates Bowman and his crewmates' spaceship. The reliance on long shots in the film, as well as the omnipresence of the color red in the lighting and set design, give the impression that Bowman and his colleagues are being spied on and foreshadow the film's morbid events. Nevertheless, Bowman overcomes this obstacle and sacrifices himself for the human race in the search of knowledge. During the ending of 2001, which is equally as ambiguous as the ending of Solaris, Bowman is taken by godlike entities, relives his life, and is ultimately reborn into some kind of super being looking over the earth. Seemingly, Kubrick is celebrating the evolution and endurance of humanity through the transformation of Bowman. On the other hand, Tarkovsky denounces such human narcissism by highlighting the limits of technology and claiming, the character of Dr. Snout, that humans don't want to conquer space at all. They want to expand Earth endlessly. They don't want other worlds. They want a mirror. Another crucial sci-fi theme in both pieces is whether consciousness is life. In 2001, the characters approach the alien monoliths with wonder and in turn evolve. The apes gain the ability to use tools and Bowman transforms into a supernatural being. However, the monoliths, though they clearly represent some form of celestial power, are not self-aware beings, unlike Hal. Aside from being incredibly intelligent, Hal is able to interact with the other characters. In fact, this artificial intelligence understands psychology to such a degree that it is able to manipulate them. Similarly to humans, Hal is also tremendously curious and has feelings, the most prominent of which is fear. Fear, a very human trait that drives Hal to plot against the characters, is embodied in the film's lighting and colors. During the movie's climax, the conflict between Bowman and Hal, Kubrick implements low-key lighting and fills the frame with contrasting red and black hues. This intensifies the visual stimulation of the viewer alarmed by these colors. Furthermore, the low-key lighting, which reflects the darkness of space, emphasizes the failure of technology since the cosmos is on the verge of consuming the spaceship. However, Bowman's irrationality and determination, and not calculated by Hal, leads him to survive, and the contrasting lighting distinguishes him from the machines in this struggle. Ultimately, Hal never considers whether his actions are right and does not feel killed, a dilemma common in science fiction works. That said, for Hal to fear its death, it must be conscious of it, and thus consider itself alive. Therefore, through Hal, Kubrick is warning of the dangers of artificial intelligence, which will not know how to understand its own consciousness. This wariness of technology is befitting of the Cold War era, wherein the threat of nuclear war was constant. Conversely, Tarkovsky does not express a fear of different life forms in Solaris. Rather, he indicates that other beings can actually behave more humanly than humans. This is seen through the character Harry, Kelvin's dead ex-wife. She materializes on the space station and, though an initially terrified Kelvin attempts to get rid of her, he eventually falls in love with her. Harry, who is a physical projection of Kelvin's imagination, slowly learns about her previous self and tries to assimilate as a human being. As she comes to terms with her identity and Kelvin comes to terms with his past, a glowing golden light shines through the windows of the spaceship, which contradicts the viewer's idea of a pitch black space. The director is subverting subverting the sci-fi standard in order to delve into the psychology of these characters. This light symbolizes an Earth-like reality in Kelvin's memory, inserting themselves onto the spacecraft. Tarkovsky strays further from the genre in Kubrick through the realistic lighting and color scheme of the space station. Thus, his movie can resonate with Earthbound viewers and speak directly to human emotions. This emotionality reflects Hari's struggle, who finally sacrifices herself because she is not and never will be the real Hari. Through this final act of compassion and selflessness, she acknowledges her unnatural state while also embracing having been able to live.